So the topic for today, welcome back everybody, welcome back. As you can see, we're slowly ramping up our podcast and production values, I guess. Slowly. The topic for today is, do humans really want to live forever? Is this something that we can see across time, across cultures, and how important is that, I guess? Yeah, I think this really came up because of I was watching some stuff online, and an argument was made that it is in human nature to want to live forever. Thoughts? Initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just reminds me of there's a Hindu story of a king who did a lot of meditation to get a boon from Shiva, and his wish was, I want to be immortal, right? And Shiva was actually that is against the laws of the universe, so I can't do that. So then he made this thing where it's I can't die at day or night. I can't die inside or outside. I can't, just all these things that basically means that he's immortal. But then, obviously, that shit got to his head, and he got a bit crazy. So Vishnu incarnated, because one of the things he said, I can't be killed by man or beast. So he basically was half of everything in this avatar, and he killed him at dusk, so it's not quiet day or night, and it's not inside or outside, so it's so in that it's immortality is against the laws of the universe, but it doesn't stop the human longing, but in that case that was ego driven.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest one pushing this topic right now is the tech billionaire, I think he's a billionaire, Brian Johnson, who's now dedicated his life. I can see it from his perspective of he's being a guinea pig for the rest of humankind, to be can we reverse aging? Can we, because is aging and death from natural causes just cells being unable to reproduce itself? If you were able to fix that, so cells were living optimally, how long would we live, and could we potentially live forever if you replace that? So I think that as a question and a scientific goal is quite interesting. When it becomes cultural would then be, but should we?
Yeah, and then also psychological, right? Because that I don't know why, it just reminded me of the second season of the show Heroes. There was a character on there that had the same powers as the cheerleaders, and then so he would heal immediately. So after a while, you can't die.
Yeah.
Right. So he just lived.
The main guy, the main hero on Heroes. Yeah, he was.
But then, it turned out he is also the villain.
Yeah.
Because he's lived for so long that he's fuck humanity,
I think in one of the timelines, something like that. But I think that's I think that's how they Heroes crashed, and it crashed because the main bad guy got powers by taking other people's powers, and then the good guy absorbed people's powers because he felt empathy for them. So then you've got two ultra super powered.
But but that whole psychology of if you could live for thousands of years, right? Would you want that guy just ended up hating humanity because he's because he saw so much shit over his lifetime. And so and then it just kind of that's an interesting question, psychologically as well as culturally, right?
I'm just while on the topic of shows, there was that other interesting show, I forgot the name of it. It was so good, the first season, but it was a sci-fi show about, well, who can afford to live forever, and so the richest class could then create avatars, and they put their minds into the avatars.
Yeah.
And so they could. No, it wasn't Westworld.
No, it wasn't Westworld.
It was like sci-fi, and they like lived above the clouds, and it was like Aeon, something like that. I'll find it in a sec.
Yeah.
And
was that J.J. Abrams show? I don't remember, but you know the thing is with.
Wait. So my point on that is, so only the rich can live forever, and because they live forever, they become even richer. Right? Because it's like you don't have to pass down your wealth.
Yeah.
You get to hoard more wealth. You have the knowledge and all of that stuff. And so like the divide just and they effectively become gods, because now they cannot die because they have, unlimited amount of bodies. They've been backed up in their cloud or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like a different kind of class system, because you have immortals and you have regular people.
But I was just thinking on this though, right? That because technology.
Altered carbon, that's it. I knew it was
altered carbon, okay. I haven't heard of it.
You serious?
No.
You need to go watch that right now.
No.
Like the first season was awesome. But it's literally that's the premise.
Yeah. But in terms of that though, technology really just transcends culture. Like even medical technology, right?
Technology transcends culture.
Like, yeah, I mean, like we use the same phone in India as we do here, you know what I mean? But in terms of medical technology and like those things like that, that is like, like there's no like commandments that says thou shalt not fuse your brain with machine.
Yes, there is.
Is there?
Potentially, yeah. It depends.
Yeah,
it literally depends how you interpret it.
Yeah, exactly, how you interpret it. But you know what I mean? Because this level of technology has kind of been like equalizing. Would you not say?
No, that's why I think the wording of that is quite important. Because what if I was a naturalist and I want to live in the woods and stuff like that? That's my culture. So your technology directly impacts my culture. It doesn't transcend it, right? The use of technology is a cultural topic. Like if we go back to something basic, I remember in the book Guns, Germs and Steel, right? They talked about how different societies discovered the wheel, right? But I think when the Spanish came to the Americas, they found that the wheel was used for like children's toys, but they hadn't used it for to transform their industry in terms of like eventually making wheelbarrows and carts and things like that. It was just like, so like the level and like the access to technology as well. Because I would imagine if we go back to like old times and maybe caste systems like they have in India, is like would then technology and knowledge be limited to a certain group? So at the moment, technology is limited to our richest people. But I would imagine there are some societies, let's say like Druidism, where technology is limited to like spiritual people, or knowledge is kept by a group of certain people. And so that's cultural.
Yeah. So you're saying like the way that the culture contextualizes that technology is like unique to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think instinctively there are cultures where you would be like, oh, I've got technology that lets you live forever. They'd be like, no.
Right. I mean, like again, like psychologically, you would have some that are, that level of society or ego and can afford it, would be like, yeah, of course. Like,
I think for everybody there would always be that natural temptation. Like it's a natural temptation, right? Because death, either for yourself or if you lose somebody, you're like, I want to prevent that. So there's always going to be a temptation to be like, hey, look, there's a way to prevent that. Okay, I'm curious to know what that is.
Yeah.
Right. But
because then a lot of cultures also see like life and death as like, two sides of the same coin. Type stuff, where it's like there's a passage and there's like things on the other side that cultures believe, and so death is not like and then the whole thing about the like ancestral heritage and things like that, but in terms of the continuation of life in that way, that has always been done through offspring and through kind of passing things down.
Yeah.
Rather than just one soul just immortalizing forever.
So that is something that I think is like biblical, right? Because it's about passing things down generationally, and like having a sort of like a new opportunity at it and a new lens at it, and letting certain things die away and the most important things being preserved, right? And so I think there's an important cycle of life that happens when you do that. But if you don't end things, it
fucks up the coding of the universe.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking, like, even with the like that, like uploading your consciousness to the cloud, it's still dependent on the cloud.
But just on a most basic level, if I can live forever, why do I need kids?
Yeah, or like, but again, this is so crazy to think about, because you will outlive them all.
But especially not if they're gonna live forever too. Why would they not live forever if I live forever?
Yeah, exactly. Right? What would they?
Unless again, like that thing, it's a power thing where I can decide who gets the technology.
Right, but
right.
It's also complicated with like mind and consciousness.
But so that's what I'm saying. So one of the we're dealing in theory at the moment is one of the things is like if it's in a resource based society or resource dependent society, then it's like, why would I want too many of us, especially when I can live forever? If I'm happy with the state of things, then I just want it to continue, or to like continue improving for me.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly,
I think that's what the beautiful thing about the cyclical thing is like, it might not be good for me, but it will make it good for my children, and that is a huge motivator for me.
Yeah.
Right. That they will live a better life than I lived.
Yeah, but in terms of that though, like this is where you have to kind of see what this incentive or technology or mode is of immortality, right? Because is everyone going to be immortal? Right? Because if that's the case, then like all other types of factors need to be considered, like resources, all of that. But and then the individual psychology, like it'll be so wild.
But
to have like a whole population that could live forever.
But it's interesting too, because like you could also make the argument, and to be fair, I haven't fully listened to Brian Johnson's argument when he did it with Jubilee, but I think he could posit the argument that so many cultures' interpretation of the afterlife, or their theory of the afterlife, is also a desire to live forever. Because although you're not living forever in this body, your spirit or your soul lives forever in another dimension, and so you're still wanting that immortality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and to kind of break out of the cycle.
But let me just read you some of these. These are just some cultural views on death. In Japan, impermanence is beautiful, and immortality contradicts mono no aware. I think that's how you say it. India, you have moksha, escape from rebirth.
Yeah.
Right? So not living forever is the goal, to escape that cycle.
Yeah.
In Philippines, death is a transition, and so a lot of dependence on the ancestors to guide the living to have a good, healthy transition. In the Middle East, there's some cultures where eternity belongs to God. So human immortality is hubris or haram. Māori Pacifica, the whakapapa continues through descendants. It's not about endless life. So it was kind of what we were really talking about. It's about having lineage and preserving what's important. Africa, immortality through ancestors and community memory. That's where I think the cultural and stories aspect is. It's very similar to Māori. You know, I think that's important. What is crazy? It's like quick tangent. Is I think sometimes things can be lost from like history and like legend. Like, oh, is it history or is it just a story? You know.
Yeah. There's lots of instances of that. You know.
Europe, especially if it's not written or documented in a very like. What if it's as oral tradition? Oral tradition more likely to be like, oh, that's just a story. My ancestors 1,000 years ago. Yeah, like, you know. Europe, avoid death at all costs, fear of nothingness. That seems to be a European Western thing, right? Yeah. I think it's different from anti-aging. I think that's more a beauty thing, right? As opposed to the, like, it's not about what I look like, it's about living forever. And I think there's some really interesting like old stories about it. Do you know the story of Dorian Gray?
No.
So that's a really cool one. So he gets a painting. I think he makes a pact with the devil, and the devil gives him a painting, and that's what he really looks like. And so he lives forever or can do whatever, or I think he can even like take damage to his body, but he will look perfect in the world. But his painting's the one that takes the damage, right, and ages and stuff like that. And so I think in the end he looks at the painting and he's like horrified. Yeah. that was a cool one.
Yeah, because you know even in the because again, like, you have to think of the body is a form of technology that hosts whatever we call the individual.
It's interesting to think of the body as a form of technology. Yeah.
So like again, like that's why I said if you were to separate the consciousness from the body, it would need to be hosted somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're getting onto something that I didn't intend for us to talk about, but let's go that way because it is super interesting. You know, from Christian lens, we are body, soul, and spirit, right? And so the body is literally just a vessel. So if you're trying to make the body immortal, what does that do to your soul and your spirit?
Yeah.
Right? Have you now caged? You know, did it go from like a temple and a temporary vessel, where we're meant to learn something on this plane in this dimension, to then be released into our immortality? Where, I mean, if you imagine it like that, if you imagine almost like a Matrix thing, where it's like we're in a simulation where we're meant to be training, and then we go back to our superhuman form. And yet now you've like, because you want to live forever, because our knowledge is limited, you're now trapped in this very limited simulation because you think that's what's best for you. You know, and your like superhuman form is going like, you know.
Yeah, it's like, I forget, was this a cartoon episode or an episode of a show where it's just like, where, it's like the same thing where he has like multiple chances to like create the ideal life, and then he like ends up creating everything exactly as he wants. Oh yeah, that's right. Like I forget the character. He's like has some fear of the unknown or something, right? And then, but like the moral of the story was like no matter how much you like you know think you have in control, there's always the unknown. You know, and so in terms of the body, because like even with the body there's like you know there's like aesthetic and limits pushed, you know, at the Olympics and things like that all the time about human potential, right? And then that's kind of extending the meat vessel, but
that was on the side thing. That was my favorite. What were they? That was my favorite animatrix. there was like the sprinter
Yeah.
that wanted to like just to break physical limitations.
Yeah.
And he like broke out of his body and woke up in the Matrix.
Yeah.
That was like.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah.
But so things like that, and then again, like you have to think of mind and consciousness, like what, because you don't really have. I mean, yeah, like you have nowhere to push the mind because we are so used to it being in the constraints of a brain. You know what I mean? So like.
So that's the
then,
argument of transhumanism. Isn't
yeah,
it?
and then like how would you keep the individual if it's just pure consciousness? Because I think we're connected to the grid, right?
Yeah.
Like to everybody else's like shit, mind wise. Like that's why everybody needs to go to sleep. Like even fucking trees go to sleep because they owe that to the grid, right? So how do you, so like it would just be a very like it'll be like metaphysical science, like sci-fi shit that you would need to consider. And then and then again the whole thing about with the limitations of the human body, we can't even perceive reality. Like so it's like all of these like complex things. But if you're talking about making the body immortal and the individual within it at the time forever, that's different than like uploading.
So you're stepping into territory where I feel like I have to draw upon like spiritual beliefs, right? And I feel that as humans we don't know the afterlife. We don't know, right? It's a belief.
We don't know.
Yeah, but sorry, where were you going with the tech? So what I was saying is like the Trinity in Christianity and God is a mystery because we do not know, right? He's a mystery that our brains can't comprehend. We can try to logic it, but we can't fully comprehend because we're not built like that. And when you start talking about immortality, I feel like we can't even fully comprehend it, even if it's for ourselves, and I don't think we were built for it, right? We're not meant to be contained like that, and it's almost like overloading, too much data into something that can't contain it, and then so it malfunctions. It can't function as it was intended to function, and I think we were intended to function with a finite body, like with knowing that this ends. And so knowing that, like giving us like more specific parameters, then it's like, okay, then I have to live for something else because I know my life is limited. So how am I going to spend my life? It's investing in my kids, my community, my God. You suddenly take that away and your sole purpose is immortality. It becomes very, very selfish. Right?
And again, we're not built for it psychologically, biologically.
But that's why, like from a biblical lens, I feel like any discussion that centers so much on that kind of selfishness is like very dangerous because going into Bible law, right?
It's like you trying to play God.
Yeah, but you look across cultures and ancient stories, gods sleep with humans, they make demigods, right? Some of them are blessed, cursed, or have the trait of immortality, but that's what makes them not human. Like essentially, there's a lot of gods, demigods, Greek stories, things like that. And what makes them a god? It's their immortality. Same with like Dracula. Right, they don't necessarily have to have superpowers. Dracula's got superpowers, but like some of these demigods, what classes them separately is their inability to die. Right, and so if the same discussions are happening again, but it's coming in a different way, I just feel it's like where is it coming from? Because if you're looking at it from a spiritual lens, surely it's the same spirit that's trying to like tempt us with this.
That like to kind of merge with the machine.
Merge the machine, or just tempt us with immortality, make us way more selfish and forget like our original programming and purpose.
Yeah, but even with that, like there's the programming and cultural influence over the last, let's say, 3 generations, right, has kind of eroded away that that kind of sense of living for something greater than yourself, right? Because it's just become a very individualistic, materialist society, and that's by design to, like, for a certain purpose. But these kinds of conversations now with like AI and how that's interacting with us, and how and the potential for us to potentially upload ourselves. I think that it's not the human will, right? Like you have to consider that in the context of culture and technology, because desire and longing is always there. Like all of this shit that's been tempting us now has always been tempting us.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
So but there was cultural and social guardrails, to make sure that people don't get too crazy.
Were there?
Yeah, there were.
Were there
people,
guardrails, or were there just natural limitations?
No, people and culture specific, right? Because especially with.
But let's just pause on that, because let's say like Taoism had it, right? Taoism has a lot of like chi, energy, purify yourself, live on a higher frequency, and that equals longer life. And so it doesn't come from like this ego thing. It comes from like a letting go of the ego rewards you with a longer life.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like counterintuitive to what we said, where it's like, oh, my ego wants to live forever, and so I'm going to chase normal life. This is saying, let go of the ego, and you're going to be rewarded. And that's the same with a lot of the holy men in India, right? They're like monks, and yet they are sort of blessed with a longer life.
Yeah, right? But not immortality, right?
Not immortality.
Yeah. But there is that esoteric tradition, which is something that Crowley talked about as well, where the goal of the spiritual endeavor is to create a light body in the ether.
So that's what I find is so crazy, right? Because Crowley, because maybe we explain who Crowley is first.
Yeah. So like Aleister Crowley was a basically the father of Western occult mysticism from the early 1800s. So the entire 20th century.
And Satanism, no?
That was
Satanism.
That was a part of it. But yeah, again. My thing with Crowley is this: if you read his stuff, and his writing is very dense, but it has real shit in it. How he lived his life, completely opposite to like what he wrote. He was a complete scumbag degenerate. But this is what is proposed that the ascended masters are. Right, is that they they were enlightened enough so that after death their consciousness just transferred to the light body. This is proposed.
Yeah, it sounds.
So who knows this?
It sounds like one of the older stories that started in a garden, and someone was told to eat some fruit. Just some more things for you to think about. Epic of Gilgamesh. I think it's the oldest written. Oldest documented story.
Since I read that.
Yeah, but that's literally about escaping death. right?
Yeah.
And he's driven by a fear of death. Who's Peter Thiel, isn't it? That he's pushing transhumanism.
Yeah, but
What's,
he's also warning about the Antichrist. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. What's Elon Musk's stance on it? Because
On
he's got the
immortality?
what's that program?
Neuralink?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on some whole other shit where he's like, he's like, through AI we're gonna create a collective human consciousness.
Okay, so I've got.
It's like, okay, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I feel. So this touches on something that you were saying. Like, I feel there are truths, or there's like laws, right? But it's like how you get to it matters, right?
You mean in terms of like the natural law, and like how you find your way towards them?
Yeah, it's kind of like saying like let's say like maths, and if I figure out like 1 + 1 is 2, and I get there and I show my working, and then that's like unlocked to me as a reward. But if I just learn that 1 + 1 is 2, but I don't know how or why, then it's like it can be abused. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah. I mean, because like,
and so I feel like
lessons that you learn viscerally hold.
No, and then like, biblically, it's like miracles can be done, but miracles aren't a sign of goodness, right? They aren't a sign of this is from like the Holy Spirit, right? It's like, the magicians can do that, right?
Yeah, but so like again, man, I think it again, it comes down to strengthening up the individual enough so they have wisdom for discernment.
No.
I think that's the, but especially in the I mean in the context of what we're talking about in terms of immortality and
no. I mean, yes, but I don't think it's just equipping an individual with wisdom. I think they need to be surrounded. Like, I think it needs to be divine wisdom. Like, honestly, because
it does.
Because you look at the Bible. Okay, I'm always trying to go to the Bible, but you go to the Bible and it's like, imagine a scenario, right, where, because I think the super wealthy having access to certain technology that lets them live forever is one massively dangerous scenario. But I think, let's say there is a way where instead of buying the new iPhone, you get some sort of chip in your brain that makes you part Android, right? And now you can access information like this, right? And there's like a really good Black Mirror episode on it, like something like that, right? And so it's like, if you had access, it was like access to ChatGPT, right? And you could go, oh, but it's like, oh, should we use it? Shouldn't we? It's like, once it's there and it's so easy to access, ChatGPT is free. We're not asking people to have, use your wisdom and your critical thinking every time you want to open up ChatGPT. It's not. It's like become a different question because it's just become so accepted in society. It's just become like, that's the new norm. This is the new phase of technology. So what if that is how it's positioned? Guys, this is just the new phase of our society, that we all have a Neuralink connection to an Android GPU, and we're just all transitioning. There's going to be very few people who are going to be like, this doesn't sit well in my spirit, that I don't feel comfortable no longer being 100% human. And so how do you get there? I don't think it's just...
Yeah, but like, again, that's the thing, like, it's the same shit, like, the same shit happened with COVID and the vaccines, man. Like,
so that's what I'm saying,
it's the exact same thing. But again, they had totalitarian control, right? That along with the decades of programming that they've done to us, is enough to, like, make us, I don't know, automatons, So yeah, I mean, like obviously, the 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 goal of building up the individual, so that you would have enough people that are not thinking like that. But again, getting them away from influence, right? Cultural, technological, power, institutional, that's impossible, right? So like that's why we have to like restructure society.
Yeah, I guess it's the same. There's like different variations of this story, but Frankenstein is the same, right? The story of Frankenstein and his monster, because that's a form of immortality. I think the monster does technically live forever, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how it ends. It suggests that he can't die. And Guillermo del Toro, I don't know if you've seen it. It's just come out with it. It's good. It's done in very his style. Like I kind of like the Kenneth Branagh one. So like this is how I'll frame it. So let's say my loved one dies and my kid dies, right? I can do it, abiding natural law, and I can pray to God and say, Lord, like, if it be your will to let he lives again, like please like let him live again, and then I trust him, but I'm subservient to him, right? And if my kid rises from the dead, then all blessing and glory and honor to God, right? But I can go, I'm going to skip that and skip God's will and skip natural law, and I'm going to use technology and my own will to make my son live again, which is Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that the desire is in both versions of me, right? It's just about how I get to the result, right? One is like a humility, subservient to natural law.
Yeah.
And the others is very ego driven. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, like both of those can go, to their own extremes. But the ego-driven thing, and then the non-ego, and then the non-egoic way of being. Again, there's so much institutional and cultural influence at this current time that you can't have a mind that is,
Okay.
just influenced by family and community.
Well, that's why I do think people need
Family and community.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so quick 8 questions. I'm just going to rapid fire get your answer on it. All right, we'll clip this.
Yeah.
Does living forever
Speed, right?
make life meaningless or more meaningful?
Yeah, I'm gonna be Jordan Peterson. Like, what is meaning?
Okay. Two. Is death a natural part of the human story or a solvable engineering problem?
Nah, it's a natural part of the human story. Of the story of the Earth. Like, Earth is gonna die one day.
But then why are people living longer?
Why are people living longer? Yeah, because of artificially, Well, it's okay. That question is interesting because if you look at it and our food system currently, right, and how it is and how engineered it is, like everything else, people ate and were a lot healthier back in the day, and without keto or no carb or anything, they were fine. Like they ate.
So
bread,
so
it was okay.
I guess how you were suggesting it is that although we're living longer, we're actually living how we should live. We're living we are getting closer to our natural lifespan, and biblically I think it's like 120 years.
Yeah,
right, is how long a
which
human
is
should
insane.
live.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
we're just reaching our max potential. So in the past we didn't have the technology to live, or maybe it was corrupted or whatever, and now we're beginning to live our potential. But if you start pushing that, then it's like you're being unnatural. Interesting. Okay, next. Would immortality just make the rich immortal?
Basically, at this point.
It's just access to technology.
Yeah.
4. If your mind is uploaded, is that still you?
No.
Okay, just boom.
because the thing is the mind is contextualized within the body, and that's the individual.
Well, what about body, soul, spirit? Do you believe body, soul, spirit?
Then that's no longer.
But I'm asking
that's
you.
one
I'm
thing.
asking you. Oh, and you believe all 3 can be uploaded or not?
No.
Mm.
Well, like that's what I mean. Because if you upload mind, you are uploading spirit.
Are you?
Yeah. Because.
So your spirit lives in your mind.
Because what's mind without body? And then all right. So I know that like the Greeks made like a distinction between mind and spirit, or like mind and soul, but mind taken to its highest is soul, right? So I think that if you were to remove mind from individual and you upload it into a cloud somewhere, that will no longer be the individual.
We need like a Jordan Peterson, but I need to check you on your definition. But let's play a little game. Is a photo you?
No.
Is a video of you?
No.
Is a AI program that's trained to replicate your answers you?
No. See, like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like that's what John Baudrillard talked about, who inspired The Matrix. Where it's like, where the representation of a thing becomes the thing, right? So it's like there's Disneyland, right? But the map of Disneyland is real because that is like an abstract, abstraction of like so it's in that there's like degrees of representation that's like abstracted away from the real.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So with video, all of that, like I think.
Because I have a version of you. Is that somebody?
Yeah, that's outside.
Because if I had a video of you, I have a version for you forever. But it's not you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? Like this is so crazy. I have a video of my grandma giving us a singing concert in the living room, right? And it's great, obviously amazing representation of her, but it's a representation of her.
Well, that's why I think the AI ones are interesting, because it's like they would be new versions. Like I could ask the AI version of Daivat a question, and it would give me an answer I've never heard from you because I've never had the opportunity, but it would sound like something you would say.
Yeah. So it's like, again, how close does the representation get to?
But it doesn't have your free will.
Get to the real. Yeah, right? Exactly. Like no matter how good the representation is, it'll never reach the. Yeah.
Would immortality create global overpopulation catastrophes?
No.
Maybe you just let us colonize space. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're not built for it. But it's your answer.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, overpopulation is a myth right now anyway. Like it's because we're jammed into cities, right? If we're more spread out over the land, we'd have no problem. Like,
are we chasing immortality because we fear death or because we fear life?
I think it's just unknown. Because we fear the unknown.
Do you think some people chase death because they fear life?
Yes.
I don't mean like suicidal, but I mean like
self-destructive. Yeah.
Or look for battles,
Yeah, because the thing is that there's always that impulse to like for like something more, and yeah, you would have that expressed. So like this is the perfect example of it. Is the whole like dark literature and the whole goth music movement that came out of that, right? That's all imagery that's related to death, macabre, darkness, but it's a way of dealing with that in that representation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a fear of unknown.
So this is just a recap, so I can clip you. Does every culture actually want immortality, or is this a Western obsession particularly?
No, I don't think it's a Western obsession. It's that instinct to become God or be like God.
Finally, if death disappeared, would culture stop evolving?
No.
Why not though?
If death stopped, would
'Cause
culture
imagine-
stop evolving?
Yeah, because imagine, let's make it smaller. Let's say there's 10 of us in a room, right? And we all like come together as a community. There's 10 of us like in a village, okay? The reason why culture evolves is because my son and your son will be different from you and me, right? They'll have their own lingo, they'll have their own interpretations of things, and so culture evolves. But if it's just us 10 forever, why would we suddenly start using different language and like changing our music tastes?
Yeah, exactly, right? But again, if you live for 10,000 years, you don't know, right? You don't know.
But you're suggesting that you're living 10,000 years can be influenced by your outside stuff. But I'm saying if
it's
you
just-
just in those
yeah.
10 people in that village, why would they ever change?
And you have enough resources to last you forever.
Forever, exactly.
Right. So like again, like you would still, culture would still evolve, but not in the same sense that we're like we think of culture. I'm thinking in the way to in order to contextualize those relationships and keep that going over time, you would need different ways of operation and interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying, culture. You know,
Only
to
because
like
I
relating with one another.
only because I love the opportunity to always say how awesome the Bible is. But I do think that is one of the things that's amazing about the Bible is it's just like for thousands of years it still works. It's like living word. It just.
Do you think the Bible is technology?
I think the Bible's divine, so I think you can't limit it to something like that.
Okay.
I literally think it's the word of God,
Okay.
and it's living, and it speaks to you.
Yeah, but so like that's what I mean. What do you mean by that? That it's like.
So that's what I'm
that's
saying. It's even just a course, even over the course of just your life. So let's not talk about generations. Just your life, whatever you're going through, right? You can read the same passage and it will speak to you differently.
Okay, so you're saying
So
it's
it
alive in
reads
that
it
sense.
reads you, and you are learning things about yourself and about it and the world, just by reading it, and your experience that you bring to it, and then it reflects it back to you, and it teaches you.
Okay.
Right, and you can
I
go
see what
you can go all books do that. Not really.
Yeah, but like, isn't it also like I find this so interesting. Like even with Indian scripture, everything is written in verse and poetry, right?
So I mean
even stories like are told in like that form.
Well, that's why I think the Bible's so cool, because it has so many variations in it. Right? It's got first person, third person, it's got, quotes, it's got songs, it's got,
Yeah, and it's just like, and then I also think like it has something to do with like, again, I always come back to like, there's something very trippy about language itself.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
100%.
language can affect and change things in ways that we're not privy to.
I think that's something like one of those laws that we're touching upon.
Yeah.
That we don't fully understand. Like the power of creating something that becomes physical. And then I was remember listening to this guy and he goes like, sound waves technically last forever. And I was like,
yeah, it's so crazy to think about that. But yeah, so it's like, in order to do that, and this is why I feel that, technology is in the hands of the wrong people, because in an ideal society you would have the consideration of the spirit and the soul, and all the context around it, and how we interact with the technology.
I think
rather
we've
than it
talked
just
about
being
this,
a
but
means to
not
an end.
not on this podcast. But maybe we do it on another episode where we talked about caste systems, and we were talking about how there were some societies where the religious leaders or the spiritual leaders who didn't want power were in charge, and those were the best societies. But the thing is, they don't naturally want power, so they always hand over power.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, so like there's always the invaders at the door, like always, So you always have to account for that. But so I think in the ideal way would be is that we have some sort of code of ethics or commandments for technology and how we are fucking going to build and interact, because this is the thing, it's this progression, right, like AI and all this stuff. It's not gonna stop.
So I would suggest to you that we do have that, but we've now chosen to put less emphasis on it, right? And some people don't believe it altogether.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the programming.
And I think
institutional.
And I think
control.
some people have suggested that as well. That actually maybe even if they don't believe, they would still believe in the function of something like that we all agree on. Right. So in terms of literal terms, it's like, okay, I might not believe in the Bible, but I see the value in having a Bible, regulate and put limitations on what we do.
On things. Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing, man. Left to our own
devices,
nature and natural devices, we will not have civilization.
I think I've asked you. I don't think I've asked you on this podcast, but do you think, especially old humans? I don't know. It's just such an interesting question. Do you think humans are naturally good or naturally bad?
Oh, see, that's an interesting question, right? I
wouldn't say bad, but just.
But see, I think humans are the only one that have the potential, because we have the consciousness for good and bad, right? Where the others, as far as we can tell, are just following programming.
We have more choice.
Yeah, or it seems like we have more choice. I don't know, the true nature of our existence, because there's a clip of Sam Harris on Joe Rogan from 12 years ago, and he for 40 minutes just breaks down how there is no free will, and it was so convincing. Where I'm just like when you take away everything, there's literally nothing. And it was so, but so with the programming and with humans, we have the potential out of all the animal kingdom, because we're infused with the power of language.
Very strange, because sometimes you sound like a Christian.
And
okay, to wrap it up, maybe the question isn't whether humans can live forever. Maybe the question is whether we should. Every culture has its own answer. Some chase immortality, some celebrate impermanence, and some believe we already live forever through our children, our actions, and our stories. But no matter what you believe, thinking about death forces you to think about life. And maybe that's the whole point. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who's been thinking about mortality, aging, AI, or legacy, and tell us in the comments, would you choose immortality if you were offered it tomorrow? We'll see you next time. Peace.